views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to the transformative show, We Carry the Light, with host Dr. Susan Allison, the show that inspires you to find the light within and shine your light in the world. Who are you right now? And who do you want to be? What is it that makes you happy, helps you feel fulfilled, and living your purpose? Tune in and let Dr. Susan help you discover that you carry the unique light that only you can shine. Now, here is your host, Dr. Susan Allison.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to We Carry the Light. And as you just heard, I'm Dr. Susan, and I'm so happy you've joined us. How are you doing today? I always ask you that. I ask you to kind of take a moment and center, turn inward, check out how you're feeling, what your thoughts are, think about your life a moment. So just how are you? And just let words bubble up. Let the truth come from within you, as it always does. And just take a breath. It's amazing how we forget to breathe, isn't it? We forget to draw on the source of life. Life breath. So I'm taking a breath as I speak. And I've been extremely busy this week. As you all know, I have a book that's just come out. I've been on at least a radio show a day, sometimes two. It's been a phenomenal acceptance of my book into the universe. It's been amazing, and I've been busy. So what I have found is that I really need my daily time, mainly in the morning, to meditate and pray. And I don't know about you, but I do best if I do some praying, some singing, some meditating before I even get out of bed, before my feet hit the floor. I have allowed myself to turn inward and outward and feel gratitude and ask for whatever it is that I need in terms of help for the day. I, just as a person, know that if my feet hit that floor, I am going to hit it running, and my day just seems to just continue without stopping. So I have to do it in the morning before I get out of bed. You know what I find also is that sometimes when I come right out of my dreams, my prayers, my meditation, my songs I sing are even better than when I'm consciously thinking. And for me, it's about being really in my heart and praying, just allowing it just to sort of bubble up and burst from me, from my heart. That actually reminds me of a time I wanted to share with you when I was in Alaska on a vision quest. We were in a sweat lodge and we were being taught how to pray in the Huichol way. The Huichol are an indigenous tribe in Mexico, still living in really an ancient way. So when I was in Alaska on this quest, we were taught how to pray in the Huichol way, and it was praying out loud. Each of us prayed out loud and started with something like, Great Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for my life. And then you just let it go. You just pray really fast what's inside you. It was just an amazing practice, and I still do it today, 20 years later. And I even have made part of that prayer, the way that they pray, into a song. It's early in the morning here in California, but I'm going to try to sing a little part of this for you. But I start the morning by singing this, and it goes like this. Good morning, God. Thank you for this day. Thank you for my life. And thank you for all my blessings. And that's one verse, and it goes on to be thankful for my health, for my home, for my loved ones, for the earth, the sky, the water. And then I end by thanking God or spirit or source or love or whatever you believe, energy, thanking this incredible creative force for peace, for grace, and at the end of my song, I thank this source for love, and end with Good Morning, God. So, now that I think of it, I tend to turn my prayers into songs all the time, and I sing them. I sing them when I'm walking around, I'm riding my bike, I'm walking my dog, walking on the beach. And I discovered that that's really how I pray, is often through singing. So how do you pray, if you do? And perhaps you don't say words, but your life is a prayer. You live as consciously as possible, hurting no one, living your soul's purpose on the planet. Or maybe you dance your gratitude for life, or you do yoga, or you read to your children, or you cook incredible meals, or ice skate, or maybe go out with friends. You might chant, you might go to church or synagogue, and maybe your place of worship is in nature, as it is mainly for me. So I guess the real question is, how do you show your gratitude for your blessings? And maybe how do you ask for help from something greater when you need it? So a lot to think about this morning and to feel, and just let yourself just look, feel into it, see what it is you believe and what you do as your practice. So here today to help us understand these questions is Celeste Yacoboni, who is author of the acclaimed book, How Do You Pray? And it's a book that I've been reading this week, and I just loved it. So I'll tell you a bit about Celeste. She is a minister of walking prayer, ordained by the Center for Sacred Studies in Sonora, California. Her work focuses on guiding and supporting people through transitions by creating a space of awareness, presence, and inspiration, which integrates body, mind, spirit, and their emotions. She maintains a thriving private practice in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where she facilitates healing and wholeness through massage therapy, Qigong Song, Qigong, women's breast health, plant essences, and the Hawaiian practice of Ho'oponopono, and also the inquiry, how do you pray? Celeste now leads How Do You Pray workshops, in which people share their experience, different ways, how they experience different ways of prayer and connecting to Source. She also has a Ho'oponopono CD, and on that CD, she sings Hawaiian healing practices, which create a space of love, compassion, forgiveness, and gratitude. Celeste, as I said, lives in New Mexico, and she shares her vision on two websites, www.howdoyoupray.com and www.celestialbodyandsoul.com. So let's welcome Celeste.
Hi, Susan. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Just saying your bio out loud, just, how you read something silently and then you say it out loud and you get it better. It's like I just said your bio out loud and I realized how much we have in common. And we've never met, but I feel as if I know you, at least what's important to you, and that is important to me too.
I feel the same way. Hearing you speak this morning, I was welling up with, oh, yes, and me too, and oh, I sing my prayers well, and yeah, it's really great to connect this way.
No, I love it. I'm so glad you're here. And I don't know about you, but since 2012, especially, I feel like everyone who is supposed to be on my path, everyone who's in my soul family really has been showing up. So I'd like to welcome you into that pod, because it just it feels I really resonate with your book and with who you are. So thank you so much for everything you do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for what you do and for being part of my life. I certainly feel that way with the 129 contributors in the book, How Do You Pray?
Oh, I'll bet. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you were inspired to write the book, how long it took you, about the people. I want you just to talk about whatever it feels important to you.
Okay, great. Well, Spirit made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up one morning and I actually heard the words, "How do you pray?"
Mm.
It was dark outside. It was early, and the room was illuminated. And I heard this voice. Do you pray an hour a week at a designated place of worship, or do you take your prayers to the streets?
Wow.
Do you pray like your parents' culture or tribe, or did you develop another way?
Mm-hmm.
Do you pray to God, or do you have another special name, or no name at all? And as these words continued, of course, I started writing, and it went on, but I saw like kaleidoscope vision, ways of prayer. I saw people bowing and kneeling and dancing and singing and all of these beautiful traditions. And all of those traditions coming together in a light that it really is the heart of humanity. And that light was so bright, it included all of these religions and spiritual traditions, yet it was not exclusive to anyone. It was really about the connection and our interconnectedness of all of these ways of praise and prayer and of love, our true nature of love in celebrating our oneness. So that was the vision, this unifying vision that has really changed my life. Because since then, I continue to sit in that inquiry, how do you pray, and ask everyone I come in contact with.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband and I opened our home to the celebration of prayer and hosted what became known as prayer shares. People would come and lead a prayer from their tradition or a prayer from their life right at that point, whether it was a prayer of celebration or a prayer of grieving, a prayer of need, whatever it was. And so we had, of course, many rituals and traditional prayers and so many unorthodox prayers from the earth, prayers that were very personal to people. Sometimes we sat in silence. Sometimes we were in a sweat lodge. And sometimes we sang our hearts out. And from that, and asking, I received emails from people sharing how they prayed. And from that, I thought about asking my mentors, people whose books that I have read and been inspired by. And that's how I started to reach out. And the responses came pouring in. People were so available and generous with their time and their willingness to participate in this and seeing the vision of bringing people together in our oneness, no matter what the external form looked like, if we were in a religion or not. I have atheists that are in the book sharing how they pray and what that means to them.
That's right. I want to talk about that later. But how long ago was that you started opening your home and then waking up with these ideas? Like, how long did it take you to put the book together, really, from the first inspiration that you had?
Well, that vision was in 2008. And it had what I call divine timing, because I never had a deadline. I never really knew what was happening or when it would happen, or it just was alive in itself in every moment, in the asking, in the coming together with people. But it took, I guess, about 6 years in linear time
Mm-hmm.
Yet it hasn't stopped because people are still sending me emails and we are still in the conversation.
Wonderful. I love that. I just had a guest last week who wrote a book. Tom Bird wrote several books, but this one is called Write from God, Write and Right. And he said, a spirit, that that they have a light in them. They have they have palpable energy that feels as if it's coming from a greater source, and they often feel like they're writing themselves. And it seems that happened for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to start for listeners that are a little skeptical, as some people are, who don't have a practice of prayer, who don't really know if they believe in God. I'd love to start with what is prayer, and why do people pray? What are the benefits of prayer? Let's start there with what prayer is for people who are listening.
Mm-hmm. Well, the indigenous people called, I think what lots of us have later called God, they knew this spiritual dimension as the web of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it connected all of life and everything. And they saw the sacredness in all of life because they were so in tune with it, growing their food and watching the weather and all of the natural phenomena, the solstices, the equinox, the night turning to day, the day turning to night, everything. And in this web of life, they acknowledged the seeds as they planted and as they harvested. And living in New Mexico, I see this because we have a very, very healthy indigenous culture here. And there are many ceremonies and days where we honor the harvests, the planting, the coming of the light, and everything. So we see how they did it. And from there, of course, there became more of a separation in how we lived. We all weren't growing our own food, and we all had people that became our connection, our middle people, our middlemen to this spiritual dimension. And in the traditional religions, we went through a priest or a rabbi or a minister. So we kind of lost touch, and it became this bit of a separation. So prayer became a longing for the connection because we lost it in our natural everyday life. So prayer can be that. Prayer can be a longing, a feeling of separation, a feeling of disconnection, a feeling of need. Yet it can also be a feeling of praise and celebration, and as you said, gratitude. There are no limits to what we have to be grateful for.
Really true. When I read your book, I realized that most of my prayers are prayers of gratitude. And I was influenced. I did reconnective healing training with Eric Pearl. And Eric said to me once that if we supplicate, if we ask, if we say, I want this shiny thing, or I want this to happen, he says that what we're saying is that God isn't already listening, that God isn't, or spirit or source or energy or creative force isn't listening, that we're assuming that there is that disconnect, and we have to ask for what we want in order to get it, and it's not true. And so that affected me greatly, and I also, even before he said that to me, really most of my prayers are just feeling so grateful and blessed, and just looking at outdoors at the beauty, like you were saying, there's snow on the ground where you are and blue sky, just the gratitude for our incredibly beautiful world. and the blessings that we have in our lives. And so, anyway, so I noticed that I resonated more with the prayers of gratitude that you included in the book.
Yeah, and that was a common thread.
Yep.
So many people, almost everyone, even if they went on to share something else, there was always an acknowledgement of gratitude. And Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi, he said with prayer, especially if you're not comfortable or don't have a prayer practice, start with gratitude, because that's the easiest one. You could certainly be grateful for something. And sometimes people ask me about this idea of a God. You know, well, I'm waiting for proof, or, you know, show me that there's a God. And I said, well, call it what you will, but just look at the miracle of our bodies, this miracle of life, that we're breathing and that we're on this planet Earth that's spinning around in space. I mean, isn't this miraculous enough? It's something right there to be in awe of. Call it what you may.
Exactly. You know, you mentioned Zalman and Rabbi Zalman, and I have a dear friend who studied with Zalman and just thinks he's just fabulous and incredible and just loves him in his own Jewish practice. And I'm on the page where you have him quoted. I love this. People say to me sometimes, how come my prayer isn't being answered? And I tell them, you hang up the phone too soon. I think he's also really funny and colloquial. He's able to write things that we can relate to. And we know basically what he's saying, you know, is that we're so impatient as humans and we want things yesterday and immediately we want to be our needs gratified, etc. But just the way he said it tickled me. I like his style in the book.
Oh, I love him, and you know he passed a year from this past July, so it's over a year now, and I feel that he is now one of my guardian angels because he shows up for me, just like you mentioned. You know, people show up, and I think too that this is how our prayers are answered. They aren't always answered like you said, you know, I want this or I need this, assuming that you're in control and know what's best.
Right.
But praying or setting an intention that it's for the highest good, or lots of people say that will be done, or being in alignment with that, sometimes these prayers are answered in ways that we weren't expecting.
Exactly.
So we might feel that they're not answered at all, but they actually are. They just come in a different way.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's getting out of our own way, isn't it, Celeste? It's being able to realize that something greater, that there's some greater good, that there's some being, or there's love, or there's an energy in the universe that wants our highest. And it helps if we can stop and allow that to unfold as opposed to pushing the river all the time.
Yeah, it's like you said, too, about being busy. Well, you know, we're very busy. And to take that time to acknowledge the breath, that opportunity in itself, to take a deep breath and to stop. You know, just to stop everything for that instant and to realize, you know, that we are in this this timeless place, this womb of nourishment. This morning I woke up with a prayer and I said, Mother Creation, Mother of Creation, thank you for nourishing us in the darkness of your womb and birthing us into the light of consciousness.
Wow. I have goosebumps. I called them God bumps, but I've got goosebumps. I have goosebumps all over me from what you just said.
To being in that dark womb, that place of not knowing, place of stopping, very powerful.
Very powerful. And I'm so glad you said what you did about not, people being so busy, and as I've been this week, and not stopping. And all of this depends on our stopping. And is there a way that you can suggest to people that they could start a practice like this, or that they could learn to stop? Because I don't know about you, but especially this time of year, but people are nuts out there on the road. I went out for the first time near our mall yesterday, and I wish I hadn't, because I was starting to feel frenzied. I was caught up in this energy, which felt like just crazy in terms of the way people were driving and zooming into the mall and cutting people off. And what do you suggest for people to be able to stop? And then once they stop, how to develop some kind of practice that's meaningful for them?
The breath. The breath is a wide open door in. The breath is inspiration. So bringing spirit in, that's kind of the most obvious, and we do it all the time. So we're already in prayer. We're already in this cycle of being inspired and letting go, expiring, exhaling what we no longer need. So that's an easy way to realize that we're already doing it. And that's really good news. So
that's very good.
Yeah, to expand that, to actually, all right, I'm already breathing, so let me put my awareness on it. Let me sit here for a few breaths. I'm at the computer, or I'm, doing something, but I can right now even close my eyes, unless we're driving, but I can close my eyes and take a couple deep breaths. It automatically puts me in a state of gratitude because I'm alive. And I am so grateful for that, especially as I see, lots of friends, lots of people all over the world now transitioning.
That's right.
Leaving their bodies. So we have this opportunity to be here in the body, in this miracle of life.
Yes. And speaking of taking a breath, we need to take a break. And while we take a break, a station break, take some deep breaths and feel grateful for your life. We'll be right back.
Dear God, remove the sadness and pain from my heart. Make me a part of all you are.
The 24th Annual WOW Conference, United We Change the World, is February 11th through the 15th. Featured guests are Dr. Christine Page on Creative Dragon Energy. Dr. Susan Shumsky will show you how to awaken your third eye, and Mira Kelly will present a 2-day intensive workshop on Beyond Past Lives. Join WOW for intimate, experiential, life-changing workshops and evening presentations that will inspire you. You can choose 2 half-day workshops and receive 1 half-day workshop for free through December 31st. Join a supportive community of women on their journey to discover and develop their passions and purpose in life. Women of Wisdom is the place to be. This February 11th through the 15th. Go to thewowconference.org. That's the WOW conference.org to discover all the diverse offerings WOW has to offer you.
What if we really didn't have to die to go to heaven? Are you curious about the afterlife or rebirth? The highly anticipated new book from author Dr. Susan Allison, You Don't Have to Die to Go to Heaven, is available now. Find out how to find guidance and healing in the spirit realms. Order the book today and put it on your must-read list for 2016. Visit drsusanallison.com to learn more.
Living Kabbalah, experience the fruits of the tree of life. In this 10-month Ascension program, Kabbalah unlocks the potential of your own divine nature to know and accomplish your unique purpose in life. Get ready for real and lasting change.
Enroll now for this 10-month Ascension program starting January 30th through 31st. Visit 10thhouse.org. That's 10thhouse.org today to learn more.
There are so many resources out there for meditation. But did you know that Atana's Heart Earth Healing Meditation is available for you for free? Yes, that's right. You can receive this free healing meditation today from Atana Badili. All you need to do is visit his website, atanamethod.com. That's ATAANA method.com, and sign up. You will receive your free meditation instantly. That's atanamethod.com.
Dear God, make me a star full of light from above. Let me be only love. Dear God, remove the fear and doubt from my mind.
Welcome back, everyone, to We Carry the Light. This is Dr. Susan, and I have an incredible guest with me today, Celeste Yacoboni, and her book, How Do You Pray? We're having an incredible conversation. I'm so happy she's here, and we're going to continue. If you're just tuning in, you can listen to the show in its entirety, as you know, by going to my host page, Dr. Susan Allison, at transformationtalkradio.com, and you can download this show as a podcast and listen to it over and over and over to inspire you. So, Celeste, I would love, during the break we talked about this, I'd love for you to share some specific passages from the book, specific contributors and their words with listeners that are your favorites.
I will, and my favorites are all of them. It's different days I resonate. Sometimes I let the book fall open, and that is the perfect prayer, the perfect peace for that day. Others, I go to them. And I'm finding that sometimes I'm asked, well, how did you deal with these different names for what we call, God or ultimate reality or Buddha mind? And it was no problem. All of these names seem to be interchangeable. People really got that. So even when saying God, some people said, well, I have no problem with God language. That's how they were brought up. That is their tradition. So they use that G-O-D word. I have been really looking with that G-O-D, and for a long time I wouldn't use that word. I really felt like it was limiting, and it reminded me of something that I was so far away from, this small, limiting idea of God. But for me, what came was G-O-D, grid of divinity.
Ooh.
It was this whole prayer field, really is what I call it, this whole prayer field. So now it's like, sure, use the word God or use any other word, because essentially these words are describing the wordless, the nameless, the unseen, what we can't describe anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm trusting. Now, there's one piece today that I actually read, and it's not very long, so I'm going to read the whole thing.
Sure.
And this is by Donna Thompson. In the back of the book, there are bios for all of the contributors, so you can read about who they are and what they're up to. And Donna says, how do I pray? I close my eyes and clasp my hands in front of my heart. I feel the warmth that fills my heart as soon as I do this. There's immediate presence. Sometimes I pray for something, usually the greatest good in any given situation. Or I ask for guidance. Or with trust, I turn over a situation to God the light, the great mother, the great spirit, the Christ, whatever name arises in the moment. Or I just communicate with that presence beyond words and names. It's peace, wholeness, healing, and love. I open my eyes. Light is everywhere, and I am in that radiant presence. Prayer is a reminder that we live always in a state of grace.
I love it. I have to tell you that that's one of my marked passages. Almost the entire passage is underlined, and there's a little sticky note that is there, and it's dog-eared. So you chose one of my favorites as well. I just love that passage, and I love a lot of them. Let's stop for a minute, though. We'll come back to some of these really reverent ones and prayerful ones. What about the person who is an agnostic or an atheist, as you mentioned earlier? Did you include these folks in the book, and do they pray?
Well, I have two, and there are people who are agnostic and they don't have a word for what I am calling the spiritual dimension, something that is that gives life depth, whether it's called love or presence or awareness. This idea of prayer now, I think it's more than doing something. It's a prayerness. It's an awareness in doing something with mindfulness and realizing the sacredness, the depth of all of life.
Yep.
And there are two people in the book who call themselves atheists. Well, these pieces, these essays that these atheists wrote are as prayerful as all of the other essays or prayers. I mean, very beautiful. One man here, George Obori, he says, I am an atheist. This may not seem to particularly qualify me to talk about spiritual matters, but I believe it does, and uniquely. I see atheism as a sort of minimalist spiritual perspective, one that has stripped away so much of what we usually think of as spiritual, the supernatural, that the essence of spirituality can be seen more clearly. So that was how he related to spirituality, that he's stripped away all of that and really talks about the essence. And, it's just absolutely beautiful about what he talks about, how the moments of happiness in his life give him meaning with friends, family, loved ones, being in nature and feeling that oneness with all of life.
Yes. And then Richard Packham is the other one. I really liked what he wrote, that he's an atheist, and he also spends a great deal of time in nature and lives on a beautiful piece of land. And I find that for me, I'm not an atheist, but I do find a spiritual connection to all of life, including to the greatness of the cosmos and so on in nature. And so does he. And he says, can an atheist pray? Why not? I believe that there's plenty of evidence that we as human beings can summon up powers to help us in difficult times. Those that do not believe in God use other methods, meditation, visualization, altered states of consciousness, and whatever. So I love that, because any listener who doesn't, quote, pray or believe in God or some kind of spiritual source can still feel grateful, feel connected to all of life and so on in the way that Richard says. So I like that passage too.
Yeah, I really like it. And he actually included an atheist prayer.
I know.
Yeah. He says, our powers are within, whatever be their name, what they have done, what still may come. This earth can yet be as heaven. Live then this day, and without dread, and forgive your own trespasses as you forgive those who trespass against you. And be not led into temptation, but flee away from evil. For time is the healer, with power to restore me forever and ever. Amen.
Isn't that beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful. I love how you included everyone. It's like this book, 129 contributors, is full of every walk of life, every experience people have had, and every practice. And I love that you've included so many that are so diverse, and yet there is a oneness as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is my passion, bringing people together. And prayers can be very edgy and irreverent and unorthodox. You know, they really, sitting with this inquiry, sitting with this question, how do you pray, is a wonderful opportunity to see what does that mean? What resonates in me? Matthew Fox mentioned in his piece that sometimes prayer is anger, and what comes up in injustice and what moves him to what he calls sacred activism, how he can be a better activist, bringing his prayers to the streets because he is moved by the anger of injustice.
Yeah, no, I heard several activists in the book, and I can't remember which one it is. You probably have it memorized, but there's one just praying that we all can go to sleep, with our bellies filled and, in a warm place. And that one moved me to tears, that, there's a prayer for others. Several of the people in the book are praying for the healing of our planet, not just the environment, but world hunger and poverty, and that we wake up and become conscious of others' needs. And those prayers really moved me.
Yeah, I have chills when you said that, and that did bring me to tears. That was a prayer by Amma. Amma said, just for one night, if people could have their bellies full just for one night.
I know, it makes me cry right now.
Yeah.
What page do you know what page that it's on, the one from Amma? I don't know.
On page 165.
Yeah, because I love, oh my gosh, that one, probably more than any. Everyone in the world should be able to sleep without fear, at least for one night. Everyone should be able to eat to his fill, at least for one day. There should be at least one day when hospitals see no one admitted due to violence. By doing selfless service for at least one day, everyone should help the poor and needy. It is Amma's prayer that at least this small dream be realized. And it's not such a small dream, is it?
Mm-mm.
Beautiful. So heartfelt.
Oh, yeah, and it, we take so much for granted. Just that perspective. I mean, I didn't really think about for only one day. You mean some people never experience their bellies full or live peacefully even for one day?
That's right. It's pretty humbling, isn't it?
Yes.
It's really humbling. And it also makes me realize how much gratitude we should have. I mean, when I think about it, that the song that I started with the show with, I am thankful for my home. I'm thankful for my animals. I'm thankful for my family. It's like when we look at the whole world in that perspective, we have so many blessings, especially here in the West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're thankful for every breath because we have this amazing life.
Mm-hmm. You know, you said that earlier, that so many people are transitioning, and boy, am I seeing that in my community. My husband passed away 2 years ago, and and I do believe we have expiration dates. We have fulfilled our purpose here and so on, but it seems like a lot of people are leaving the planet, and we're still here. And at times I haven't wanted to be here with everyone leaving. And I also now, 2 years later, am more than ever in my purpose and realizing I am here. It's not my time to go, and I need to fulfill the rest of my contract. So I don't know how you feel about that, but it's been hitting me also.
Oh, yeah, and I congratulate you on your book because you don't have to die to get to heaven. In having this mindfulness or this realization of life being so sacred, we really upgrade this frequency of life on Earth to something so great. And with so many people passing on, transitioning, there is a sense that, they're gone and I miss them, yet they aren't completely gone.
No.
That our dimensions face each other and interface, I guess, that our dimensions really are all inclusive, that because they are out of body, they still impact our life and we still are in touch with them.
That's right. What you said about Zaman being your guardian angel, my husband is one of my guardian angels, and Gandhi is one of my angels, and I have so many beings that love me, and my book is about how we all can learn to do shamanic journey work, and we can go to the levels of lower world, middle world, upper world, and what people call level of heaven now, and then bring back all this wisdom to live our lives even more fully and consciously and of a higher vibration than ever before. So that's my prayer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in speaking of these things that aren't in our often mundane, ordinary, everyday life, I think it brings us back to that place, cultivating a practice, a place of prayer, or that silence, giving time to silence. So whether we're calling it a prayer practice, a meditation practice, or if it isn't, as structured as even a practice, but if we sit in silence, in the profound sense of silence, then it creates this space to get these different connections with people who have passed, or a higher dimension, a spiritual realm, or something that isn't always in our everyday life. There's one of the prayers by Sri Prem Baba on page 88, and I'm going to read a short excerpt of it. He says, "Silence is a vital element in creating a field of prayer. Be still and center your mind on the divine. You may perform your prayers, but then again return to gratitude. The answers you seek may emerge from this space of silence, or they could come at any other moment of your day. Be open to the signs around you. They are the language of existence speaking through synchronicity. This is the way that God speaks with you."
Isn't that fabulous?
Yeah, so being aware, and we've touched on this a lot here, being aware of this synchronicity, being aware of these things that show up in life that, that really touch us or get our attention or give us chills.
You know, I love that. I love how just paying attention to our environment, I pay attention all the time, and I'm sure where you live, to nature. You know, it's like crows talk to me, or, you know, get a message from the wind, and I'm very tuned into that. But also the phone rings, and someone you haven't heard from in a long time calls you just at the right moment, or you get a card, or you get an email. And I think that these guardian angels or these messages from the divine are all around us, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All around us. So I want you to tell listeners how to contact you, get your book, and attend any workshops you have planned.
Well, you can go to my website, howdoyoupray.com. And on the website, I have listed coming events. There are links where you can purchase the book, and all kinds of interesting things on there. Interviews, and this interview will be posted there on the website. And that's a good way. And I invite you and welcome you to email me with anything that you would like to share about this conversation, or let me know how you pray. And I'd like to keep the site interactive that way. And I also have a Facebook page called How Do You Pray? And I bring up different things like we talked about that. What does G-O-D mean to you? Yeah. I came up with Grid of Divinity, but there are so many others that people are coming up with that are so inspiring and wonderful.
Wonderful. I love that you're keeping it interactive. Does this mean that you're going to write a sequel? Do you feel that there's so much coming in that you could write another book?
Well, I feel like something is brewing.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly ongoing. And prayer shows up in life in so many different ways, and ways that aren't always called prayer. Mm-hmm. So, something else may come through.
Well, I just love how you listen, and it feels like this book is the result of your really listening, a result of your intuition, your intuitive process. And it was very organic, the way this book came about. And my guess is that if you have a next one, that's how it's going to be.
Yes, I feel that way, too. I feel really blessed that it was moving along on its own divine momentum. And right. I heard from Monkfish Publishing that they valued this vision and had a similar vision, and so they wanted to publish the book, which came together beautifully and so wonderful. And so many bookstores, independent bookstores, sell the book and have offered me book events and book readings, and the book is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and it's just opening up more and more to share this message of bringing people together in all forms to realize our essence of love and oneness.
Beautiful. I think it's a beautiful way to end. I was going to ask you to say what you hoped readers in the world would take, but I think you just said it. And Celeste, I so honor you for writing this book and being the person you are, and thank you for being on my show.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for having me on the show and for all that you do.
You're so welcome. And thank you. I always thank you, my incredible listeners, for your willingness to grow and transform, to explore more deeply who you are and the ways you can improve and enhance your lives. Please join me next week when Rick Heller is going to teach us about secular meditation. Interesting. Until then, please remember that you carry the light.
You've been listening to The Transformative Show, We Carry the Light, with host Dr. Susan Allison, the show that inspires you to find the light within and shine your light in the world. Who are you right now, and who do you want to be? What is it that makes you happy, helps you feel fulfilled, and living your purpose? Tune in every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, and let Dr. Susan help you discover that you carry the unique light that only you can shine.